Hey guys, Marisa at kitchentablestamper.com. Did you know that every Thursday in the Kitchen Table Stamper Craft Social, we have a challenge? Sometimes it's a craft along and sometimes it's a game. This week we're doing fun with parts and pieces. So the challenge was to make a set of 3 cards. The catch is you get a list of cardstock and designer series paper pieces, and that is all you can use is the items on that list. You can't use more. You can add embellishments and ribbon, but you cannot add any more cardstock or designer series paper. So our challenge this week is 3 card bases, 8.5 by 5.5, scored at 4 1/4 is the size I chose for my card base. 3 card bases, 3 punched or die cut basic white shapes. I've used this clipped corner rectangle. This is from the Countryside Corners dies, and it's the 3rd from the largest one, so 3 of those. 1/2 sheet of basic white cardstock for doing your stamping. Designer series paper for this challenge is 2 pieces that are 2 1/4 by 4 and 1 piece that's 3 by 4. Now you can cut the papers and you can use both sides of the papers. You can divide them however you want, but you can't add more. So let's start with what I did with my papers. So here's my designer series papers, and to make 3 cards I thought I would just divide them equally. Now, you don't have to divide them equally, you don't have to divide them at all. You have 3 cards, you could use each of those pieces in full on a card. So the challenge is really open for your creativity. All right, so I'm going to divide my pieces evenly. Sorry, I like it better this way. If you hang out here with me, you know I do the trimmer upside down. I'm going to divide my 3 by 4 piece of designer series paper into 3 1 by 4 strips, 1 for each card, and then I'm going to divide my 2 1/4 by 4 pieces into 3/4 inch by 4 inch strips, 1 for each card. Right, then when I chose my card bases for this project, I happened to have a few that were left over from another project that had this sketched plaid background already stamped in Versamark. I thought, what a great opportunity. I'll use that up. So I'm going to take my last of the card bases here and I'm going to stamp it with Versamark using my sketched plaid background. I love this stamp. It really just adds a subtle texture that's pretty awesome. I like to do my background stamping with the stamp on the table. I ink the stamp thoroughly and then I bring my card to the background stamp. I find that when I do it that way, I get a more solid impression. I don't have weird edges or a faded middle. So I've got it completely inked and I'm going to pop my card on the top. This has got a really strong vertical horizontal pattern, so I'm going to line it up carefully and just drop my card base on top. Then I'll bring a piece of scratch paper and I'm going to go ahead and just run my fingers over, burnishing the card base and transferring that plaid impression. All right, time for the reveal. And there is our plaid. Isn't that cool? And it's going to add just a little bit of subtle texture behind our designer series paper. Now I'm going to apply the designer series paper to each of the cards in our set. I'm just going to use some liquid glue and I'll do them all the same. Your cards can all be the same in the challenge, parts and pieces, or you can mix them up and have 3 cards of 3 different designs. If you didn't cut up your designer series paper, 1 piece for each card, then your cards might look very different from each other if you just used the pieces as they were. If you use the pieces cut up, maybe some strawberries on this one and some blue on that, or some of this green floral and the stripes on the other, or if you varied the card bases, you can really have some fun with this challenge. So that's how I'm going to use my designer series paper for this parts and pieces, and I'm going to do them all the same. Okay, next on our challenge is our cutout shapes and white cardstock for stamping images. We're going to use the Let's Chat stamp set. We do ask that when you play fun with parts and pieces that you use feature one stamp set. You can add other stamp sets, but I'm featuring Let's Chat, and this is a new photopolymer stamp set from the spring mini, so the January through April catalog. 162899 is the item number for that one. And I'm doing a very traditional black telephone, so I'm going to grab my Stamparatus. You might want to grab your stamp positioner for this very solid image stamp, because what I'm going to do is stamp my telephone pieces and then re-ink the stamp and stamp again. I find that that's going to give the most solid impression, and that's what I'm going for with this. So I've got my receiver here, and I'm going to pop the stamp set underneath to hold that while I ink my telephone. I'm going to ink. It doesn't have to be perfect, because then I'm going to lift and re-ink and repeat. And I'll do this 2 or 3 times depending on how dark the impression is, how solid the impression is. I find that I really need this with the Memento Tuxedo Black. When I had the Stampin' Up! Archival Black, it was a little bit less necessary to stamp and repeat. So use this technique, whatever ink pad you're using, if you're not getting the solid results that you want. I'm going to get this guy out of here for now. And then I'm going to switch plates, because I have my telephone and the wire waiting on the other plates. And we're going to do the same technique of stamp, re-ink, and then repeat the stamp. All right, now we're going to switch to our wire, and the wire only needs to be stamped 1 time. It's such a thin little image, so we're going to ink that up, just get a good cover, and you see we're building our telephone. Isn't that adorable? Before I take this off of the Stamparatus, I'm going to move my magnets, grab the word hello, and I'm going to stamp that along the side of my telephone. I love that little curly greeting. Let's put this aside and get the Stampin' Pierce Mat. Our Let's Chat stamp set is photopolymer, and so we're going to need that for our next couple of pieces. Bring in this half sheet. Now remember, you're doing 3 for your set if you're doing the challenge, the Fun with Parts and Pieces challenge, so you'll do everything 3 times if you're making them exactly the same. I've got crushed curry here and the little ring noise that the phone makes, and I've got sweet sorbet. I'm going to do a little heart for each of the phones. Okay, let's cut those pieces that we have to hand cut. I love all the dimension we can add with these little elements. Just give them a little fussy cut. I'm leaving a little white border around the heart and the receiver. I'm leaving kind of a wide border around the ring sound. All right, there's our bits, and we're going to add them to the clip corner rectangle using dimensionals. Keep your dimensionals kind of low on the receiver of the phone here because it is going to go up past the edges of our die cut shape. I've got dimensionals on the back of our sound and our heart. Let's go ahead and add those to embellish our phone. Uh-oh, little dimensional wrapper stuck. There we go. I like how these pieces go past the edge, the natural edge of our die cut shape, and have that little lift. It's going to add a lot of interest to a simple card. There we go. Now next up, we're going to do a little ribbon treatment on the back of these. So let me show you. Here's our other three by the magic of television. I have some black and white gingham ribbon here for each card. This is about 8.5 inches, and what I'm going to do is fold it so that we get a loop, fold it in half. We're going to tie some linen thread around that loop. It's going to give us a lot of texture and motion, which I think reinforces the phone ringing right off the cradle. Okay, there's our fiber. Now I'm going to grab some tear and tape adhesive, and I'm going to run 2 strips on the back. You could use your snail, or what was the really strong one? I don't remember, but your Seal Plus, you know, your stronger dry adhesive would be fine there too from a dispenser. Put another dimensional behind the receiver, and I'm going to peel off the tear and tape and add my ribbon to the back of my die cut shape. Just adhere that ribbon, just smush it right into the tear and tape. Now your shape is sticky and ready to adhere to the card, and we're going to put it probably a little bit right of center is what I'd say our placement is. We want the black and white gingham over that shaded spruce floral, and I'm going to grab a glue dot here and take your pick tool and pick up a glue dot and add it right behind the loop to secure that to the card. And I'll cut and trim these tails just a little bit so that they don't extend past the end of the card. And there's our first one. These I've got all ready by the magic of television to peel and stick. Oh, don't forget, hold on. There's a little dimensional behind the receiver there. I didn't peel the adhesive off of that. There we go. All right, so our challenge allows the addition of any sort of embellishments or ribbon. We're going to take some of these adhesive back sparkle gems. They're black, silver, and champagne. And we're just going to, right at that little bring, we're gonna add a little sparkle. I'm using the black or the silver. Both look really good with this designer series paper and the style of this telephone. There is our set of 3 cards and our Fun with Parts and Pieces challenge. I hope you'll take us up on the challenge and give it a try. Join us at facebook.com/groups/kitchen table stamper craft social. There's a link in the description below. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.